ran it, you can see it said compute days actually takes no arguments, but 2 were given. So we're trying to pass these parameters, but we're not accepting them in the method. And some languages like JavaScript just ignore that. But Python, if you're going to pass parameters, you have to declare that you expect them in your method. There's actually a variety of ways to do that. We can look at that in more detail later in the class. But for now, we're going to just take what are called positional parameters. So we'll call this date 1 and date 2. Okay, so date 1 and date 2. We wanted the time between these two dates. Now there's a bit of a detail that we're going to run into. So let's just do the sort of naive computation, and then we'll go back and fix it. So what we're going to do is when you have a date time object, not a date object, but an actual date time object, you can subtract one from the other. So I can say like this, I can say date dt for change in time is date 1 minus date 2. And what we get back is what's called a time delta object. And on here you have things like, well, how many hours or days or seconds or things like that are in this time delta. The one that we're going to work with is actually a total seconds. Okay, now total seconds is going to tell us how many seconds there are in this entire range. So if this was like 3 days, it would be something like 210,000 seconds, however many seconds there are in days, as opposed to just seconds, which will only tell you sort of the seconds components. If the answer was it's been 3 days, 2 hours, and 10 seconds, seconds here would be 10. Seconds over here would be like 200,000. So we can use this to actually compute the number of days, almost, right? There's going to be one more little fix we got to do, but we can say this. So we can say days equals, and then we just do super basic math. So like there's 60 seconds in a minute, there's 60 minutes an hour, and there's 24 hours in a day. We could just return the days. So let's go down here, and we can print out our number of days. And let's get rid of this print. Now, this is closed. If we try to run it, obviously none is not going to work. So the question is, how do we get the date right now? So we go back to our lovely datetime module, and we go to our datetime class, and there's a nice little static class method called now. So we can call now, and it'll give us a datetime object exactly now. So this is almost going to work. Let's run it. So let's say 1974, April 1st. All right, so how many days between now and that date? Negative 15,000 days. I think we did something wrong here. And technically, this method is doing exactly what we wanted. However, maybe we didn't name it quite exactly right. What it really needs to do is say, assume that these dates are applying to the same year, then how many days are between them, right? That's really the question we're trying to answer, because we're not wondering how many days was it since you were born. We're just wondering how many days this year until your birthday. So we need to do something slightly different here. Now, the real problem is that these two dates don't apply to the same year. And it doesn't really matter if we say go back, like let's assume that this one is from 1974 and this one is from 2016. It doesn't really matter if we move that one up to 2016 or that one back. Generally, it'd be the same. However, you do have to account for things like leap years and some of these things that might make it be off by a day. So it's important for us to know which one of these is this year. Let's just update our methods here really quick. So we'll call this original date, and we'll call this now. So let's go over here and update this. So we'll say date 1 equals now, date 2 equals, now what we need to do is create a new date that is the same year as this year, but the same day and month as the original date. So we'll say datetime.datetime, and here we can say the year, now.year, and then original date.month, original date.day. Excellent. So now this should be working more like you'd expect. Let's do a quick format and run. So 1974, April 5th. Negative 34 days. Okay, so it's like beginning of March. That makes perfect sense. Notice the negative in the direction we're doing the computation. That means we're 34 days before our birthday. So let's go down here and let's make one quick change really quick. Let's turn this into an integer so that throughout the whole day that it is your birthday at 0. So we can just do that by passing this decimal, this float, to the integer here. So now let's do it one more time. 1974, 41, there you go, negative 30. Excellent. So the last thing to do will be get rid of this print statement and actually print out something interesting based on this information. So we're passing number of days. The parameter names don't have to match argument names, obviously. So we'll just do something really simple. Again, an if statement. So we'll say if days is less than 0, that means your birthday is coming up. So we'll do a nice little print statement. So we'll say print your birthday is in curly days, like this, and we'll do a little format. And of course, that's negative, so we need to switch it so it looks proper from the user's perspective. So we can just put a negation operation there. And then we can say else if, elif, days is greater than 0. We'll say print, you had your birthday already this year, curly days ago. Format, days like this. And then if it's not greater, it's not less than, that means those two dates were the same day. So we'll say else, we'll say print, happy birthday. All right, let's test this out. 1974. Let's go to April and say 1st. Awesome, your birthday is in 30 days. Sounds right. Let's run it again. So 1974, let's say it was in January 15. Oh, you already had your birthday. It was 47 days ago. Great, 46 days ago. And let's test it when it's exactly the day. Yay, it's my birthday. Same date as today.